Hi, hello, welcome to Dusty Shop, where bad decisions are rapid and planning is lacking. So, don't do what we do. Well, you could try it. Have fun with it. You know, do the YouTube stuff. Click like and subscribe. Alright, thanks.
Alright, so what we have here is we're going to do it again. We have, I have a big shop, and you know the last burner, I made that whole stove. This one is actually an old cast iron, antique wood burning stove. I like it, so we're going to convert it into an old burner because we're going to do everything in the shop with old burner. And so here we go. We're going to convert this thing into a old burner stove. Basically using the same concept. The big thing with these things is the draw. Getting air supply. So there's our challenge. And so George and myself, we're going to get it ready to go. And yeah, we'll start on it. So we got it cleaned out. They do some repairs to it, make the old girl look cool. I don't know. So we'll just keep working on it. Let's see. The biggest thing here is to figure out is the location. Now we have our material set out. So that's a piece of 4-inch. We have
You want this to go right in the center here?
that's
I don't know. You had this one working.
I had this one, that one would work and we're not centered. But I have the old stove has such a big, it's such a big area that if you I set that one forward because it was easier to maintain and operate. With this one, I think if we centered it,
Put it right here. Get just enough offset so that draw come up.
yeah, I think we centered it in the middle and we kind of centered it in here, and then that way,
The draw come up.
right, draw will come up and all that.
Yeah, hard lines, a real fast shot, and then make it go further up with. Okay. They put a little tack on it so we can sit it down in there and see, take a measurement. So how much pipe you want to hang out the bottom? About that much?
See, I don't know if the pipe sitting on the bottom. If I would have
It
cut it,
doesn't matter that much because as long as it's open now.
right.
I think about that much hanging out just to.
See, I did that on that. I think the pipe on the stove over there, the one is
Well,
about,
got 6 inches. I'll put about an inch pipe.
yeah,
Because it don't matter, it's open, it's just gonna draw.
right.
And that'd have to be, maybe easier to lift it out here, because remember, you're gonna pull it up and, the roller still sits free, though, right?
Yeah, you can take the rotor loose from in pieces. I did that on that one thing, and want to do that here too, because you got to clean the slag or whatever.
Yes, ready to go out. What I'm getting at, I can leave the roller just sitting on those like it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can, how close you wanna bring that up to this roller?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. So we do that. We just, basically, when you take this off, you sit this in.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
That's why I said I can tack it to it, and you rest it on there, and then you take a measurement, and then add it.
Right.
Or I can take a measurement to the bottom, up to the roller, up to here.
See, that one I ended up doing is I cut the pipe along. I cut the pipe a little bit, so I roughed it, and cutting like, I welded it. I cut the pipe a little long, and then when I welded it to the drum, when I stuck it to the bottom, I marked it, gave myself a little gap, and then I just fucking cut it off. Like I said, we have a rotor, or brake drum. I like brake drums, I have a lot of them. They don't cost me anything because, yeah, I got a junkyard, so not a big deal. We roll the pipe through the bottom of the brake drum, and then we shove the pipe through the bottom of or whatever you're making. That gives you your draw for your air, because heaters require a fan to feed the fire. Not want a fan to move the heat from the heater, but you could literally have no power and get heat. Powerless heaters. That's kind of what our goal was, and that's what we built here. Are powerless heaters. Powerless heaters is what we go for. Like I said, to make the main fire and all that. So that is. Yeah, I got lucky and may have to persuade the pipe a little bit more than I wanted to. But that's the reason for the big pipe on the bottom of it. What I found is as long as you're pretty close to your stack pipe, you work pretty good. You can always regulate it. So, as we can see here, we will cut that off. That's a lot. But right there you can see, yeah, so there it is right there. And it just sits down on the bottom of the stove. That's what it looks like from the top. You drop a rotor in there like so. Got a rotor. Yep, got it. So we have a rotor, and so that's how all of it sits together.
I think we'll cut the sides off because we're in the slope of that.
So we're going to do some trimming on this rotor and thin it down a little bit, and then we got to cut a pipe for wherever we decide to put the copper line in. That's what George is doing right now. So we're just going to shave it off because it's sitting right up against the thing. And we said that if we weld something on there, we need some gap. That's what we could do.
We're going to close that off.
So we could do is we can close these off and then just burn a couple holes in the veins through here.
Okay.
So that way it'll just push it up.
I was just going to get more clearance inside.
Right, that way, I mean, if you wanted to trim it like damn near like right here like this, you know, like something like that.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
You blank it off.
Yeah, then blank it out and we'll just bore holes. Before you blank it out, we'll bore holes in
Whichever way you want to do it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Cut it here, just take the bottom off.
Yeah, just take a big chunk of it off the side. That way it's not a tight fit.
All right, circus goers. So here we are again. Yeah, I'm having to do a voiceover because it rained incredibly hard. So it's raining small cows and probably chickens and goats and all kinds of other things on top of the shop, and you can't hear anything. So basically what we got here is we're continuing on with the wood stove conversion. So what we've done is we've cut the rotor, and so we've cut it, blew some holes in the top of it. And so what George is fixing to do here is he is going to enclose the ends of the rotor, basically, so that way the fire glows upward instead of on the sides of that old stove. The side walls of that thing are getting thin, so I don't want to burn it out. This thing can get pretty hot, so I'm gonna do is divert it upward to the heavier cast iron lid there. So that's what he's tackling right now. And so he's got we got some 1/4 inch plate right there, and he is gonna mark out a couple strips, obviously, and cut them out with the old plasma cutter. So then he can weld them to the sides of the rotor. Then we can start fitting it in the stove to, like I said, save my sides. And so that's what he's doing here. Yeah. So I'm explaining right there about the holes on the top of it and blah blah blah. So like I said, with the rain you can't hear nothing. So as I'm over there, right there, that's the propane tank. We like these little propane tanks. I got a couple of them laying around. Ain't no good. So I think they hold like 2 gallons of oil or something like that. So we're gonna use it as a feed deal. And that what I'm showing George is the top of the air pipe coming up through there. You need to put a little cap on it just so we can divert the air to where we want it. And as you see there, George is cutting the pieces out. Yep, that part of his plate. Gonna do a little cleanup right there, grind them up, make them look pretty. Well, at least clean them up good enough to weld them, so that way he can weld them to that there brake rotor. That is probably a kind of like on the other stove we use. Like I said, I got brake parts, so yeah, you can see it right there. And see, he's got the piece on there, getting it fitted up, so that way, yeah, it'll work. And now, yeah, do what George likes to do. Get a little welding done. So see, he's welding that on there. Gotta get some pretty good welds on it. It's gonna get kind of hot. So we probably put a little bit more work into these things and probably some, but you know, hopefully we don't have to mess with them. Nah, absolutely not. These things are continuously something to play with, mess with, and keep tweaking on them and fine tuning them into doing better, bigger and better things. Okay, so what we got there, that's the brake drum out of a Volkswagen Bug, probably a 68 or something like that. Anyhow, so what George is looking at right there is obviously we have holes. We have the lug holes and all that, and there he is. He is welding all them holes and whatnot up. We had to do a little grinding on it to kind of clean up some things. So, like I said, with that being said, got a lot of brake parts, so that's what we use. That's what I said. He's welding up all the holes because that one, for whatever reason, has some extra like vent hole or something on there. But anyhow, so now George is cutting with the plasma cutter the air holes through the pipe, so that way when we put the little cap on there, it diverts the air, kind of builds the air pressure up higher, so that way this thing will get to cooking. So we basically cut I don't know, 1/4 inch or so slit right now all the way around it. Might open them up a little wide, a little bigger later on. For right now it seems to be working. So okay, so what we got here is on this one we decided to weld some stops on the brake disc. Because when you set it on the drum and you slide it back there to grab the copper line, which is usually we got on our stove so far, they're in the back. And on the big stove, I noticed that I was moving it, like pushing it off. I pushed it away from the drum. So then we started leaking oil at the bottom of the stove, and well, then now we're not feeding the stove, we're just making a mess on the floor. So here's what George is doing right now, welding some stops. So we took there's the big drum and everything out of the big stove. As you can see, the difference in the pipe, big old pipe in that thing. So doing the same thing there. Good idea. Yeah, because let's face it, I'll make a mess if I get hurt in a hurry, but messing with these things, I just want to slam it and go. Don't want to think about it a whole lot, mess with it a whole lot, like I said. So we decided to put some stops on there. And so George is getting all that squared away here with this one. Alright, so well, as you can see here, we are making the feed tank for the stove. So I'm back there with some pipes, and because I use a pipe stand, basically pipe inside of a pipe welded to the bottom of that propane tank, and that way I can take it off, clean it, because these things are probably going to get trash and everything else at the bottom of them. A 20-pound propane tank will hold about 4 gallons, roughly. I think was what it is. And then we are probably about around the flat part of that, so that way we're not grabbing all the trash and everything from the oil that's going to settle in the bottom of the tank, and we don't get it down in our valves and everything else feeding down in there. So I guess every now and again I'm at the see how long it takes to get these things kind of nasty, and then we got to clean them. Don't know yet. What George is doing there is, like I said, we weld hinges on the top. I think on this one we used some old push rods to make the lid stop. That way you can open it up, close it real quick. Don't have to think about it. So makes it nice and neat. Easy to work with. That's it. Try to keep most of the trash out of there, but still vent it, because we don't have a, where the valve was. There's a nice hole right there. So, like I said, I got a couple of these things laying around. They ain't no good. So why not? So that's what we're doing right now. We're getting it all set up. There's the pipe that we're gonna weld to the bottom of it, and that way it'll slide in the pipe that welded to the rim we're gonna make back there. So, all right, so as we were just watching George here earlier. In case y'all didn't know, basically what we do is we cut out where the hinges are gonna be and where our stops are gonna be, and then when you come around here and then you weld all that on there, and then what George is doing right now is he is finishing cutting the lid at the top of it off, so that way everything stays nice in line. Looks, we do it when you're building smokers and stuff to cut the doors in. We do those. We do this the same thing. We weld the hinges and everything on in place, and then we cut the door open. And that way, the part you cut out lines it back up perfectly with what you had. So as you can see there, George is kind of probably got a spot there that's kind of hung up there a little bit. Yep, missed a spot. It's easy to do with that thing, and then boom, cut it out. Bam, opens it up. Right there it is. Yep. Lined right back up, sits down perfect, just like that. It's just as easy as just as easy as that. Okay, so what I got going on here is I am making all the copper lines to come off that tank down in to feed the stove. And so I got some flared ends, and that's what I'm doing right now. Is when I straighten that there copper, somehow this stuff got a little out of round, so I'm giving it a little persuasion there, and I'm basically pounding the brass nut onto the copper pipe, so that way it's in there. And so here we go. We've got the water faucet valve right there, which we welded to the side of that tank when we were doing the tank stuff. And basically what I'm doing is that's our little peep glass, our little floaty thingy sight glass, or sight, not a sight glass, it's a sight. So we can see the oil dripping through there. And what we did on this one a little different than we did the other one. We did actually clamp the copper line in there. On this one, what we did was we kind of welded 2 washers on both sides of the stove, and then sliding that copper line in there where we want it, and then you push it over and it locks it in there, so that way it won't move. And basically what I'm doing right now is I'm going to hand bend that thing so that way it lines up with the stove. So
Alright, so there.
We have a little oil.
So there's the oil right there. As you see all the oil splatter all in there. That is because this oil has got water in it, and you can see where it's burning right there. I don't know if you can tell it, but you can see it boiling. Means that's getting that old brake drum right there. She's getting hot.
That ain't oil.
And that ain't oil. That's water and whatever else is mixed in with this stuff. So,
Make sure your oil is clean.
yeah, make sure. Don't you take the stuff that's been in the water. It's got water in it, because it blew something in there pretty good. Once that goes down, I mean, like I said earlier, we checked the temperature, and within just, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of this thing cooking before we hit all this water.
150.
Yeah, it was like 120 on the sides.
alright, so guys, oh, here we go. Oh, there it is. Yep, there's what we're talking about with stuff in your oil kind of flaring up. Shows how hot that there drum down there is. Kind of flared it up. With that being said, we got this one built. And it's working. Get a little bit better oil, or not so much water, whatever in it. But what we did here on this one's a little different. We didn't use a needle valve, and we went with, instead of 1/2 inch stuff, we have a 3/4 inch faucet valve, which we have just a nub of a pipe in there welded into the old propane tank, which goes down to our little sight glass or whatever down there, with also the little copper funnel piece in the middle there. That one has it too, so it keeps our oil where we can see our stream down in the middle. Yep, down there. So then it feeds into our brick drum down there, and yeah, it seems to be working. Got this one's a little bit smaller stove, so it's got a 4-inch pipe. Basically, we built a big one, just a little bit smaller version. Seems to be working just fine. We're gonna put a stack on it, get draw on it, and yeah, should be putting out some nice heat. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and yeah, here's another one of our stoves. We'll do another one. We'll do it a little different. All right, thanks.